Welcome back to our second attempt at episode 37 of the Save the Universe podcast.
On the last time of attempt number 1, I spoiled a lot of details about Dungeons & Dragons.
But then also conveniently had ruined your audio.
If you're watching this podcast and haven't seen Grave of Man yet, go watch Grave of Man. It's better.
It's better.
It's better than what? Than me?
This podcast also burned.
Ouch.
Shots
if you
fired
regularly
from
watch
guy who
any
does
of
not-
our content, go watch Grave of Man first.
Shots fired from guy who does not upload this podcast.
Yeah. So anyway...
I'm running out of time to actually move this podcast somewhere because SoundCloud is like super dead now.
Well,
yeah, of course.
Here, just bug me tonight and I'll send you the login
I need to make up my
information.
mind whether I'm going to do that or if I'm going to like make a website.
Well, what? I guess. I don't know.
Hit me with
And
that sponsorship
with-
deal, Squarespace.
Well, I mean, mine is through Squarespace, so you might as well just use my Squarespace to host it.
But I've always wanted to make my own website too, just so I could have like a big navigational thing you could organize where you could like find. I've always wanted to set up
so
so
you can
people
go to all
could
your
find
other links.
playthroughs by like genre and stuff like that.
Making
in
a
way
website is so fun. You should totally do it. I love doing web development.
like you've probably seen how I set up my playlist on my front page, right?
No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do it
I've
right
always
now.
wanted a more robust version of that on a standalone website for navigating stuff in a way that's categorized in some way that's more helpful for discovering past playthroughs. So it might be time to work on that, but fuck time.
Oh yeah, current Let's Plays, Dark Souls. You actually do some. Wait, current Let's Plays. You can link to another channel. There's a link to the sad games here.
Yeah, I have the
Yeah.
You can put other people's playlists on your front page on YouTube.
Oh, that's cool.
So
I didn't know
doing
that.
a series. I'm
I
doing a
put
Dark
all
Souls
of-
series with Andrew, and so I have that linked on my profile, even though it's not uploaded yet on mine.
What
Yeah,
were
I
you
have
gonna
all
say,
the-
Shell?
I have the playlist for Dungeons and Dragons via Wander's channel,
Scroll to
and then
the bottom, bird.
all of our duo Let's Play series. I have like a separate section for too on mine. So if people want to watch Wander's videos that
You
I'm
have a-
incorporated in, then yeah.
You have a bunch of Sonic playlists. Why?
Wait,
You played a lot of Sonic games, dude.
Oh, you
My
mean
final
Sonic
category-
lists.
Yeah, it goes, what is it? Current Let's Plays, Dark Souls and Souls likes, podcasts, role-playing games, puzzle adventure, Patreon games, indie games, other, then like miscellaneous categories besides other that like maybe aren't Let's Plays. Then it's just gotta go fast, and it's just a bunch of Sonic playthroughs. I've played a lot of Sonic games.
I see the.
I played more Sonic games than any other series.
Wanderbot's Bird. I wonder if I have you as a featured channel. I should.
Yeah, it's
I
we
I
did.
have Wanderbot's Radian for some reason, and you.
That's a weird
I haven't
choice.
talked to Radian in like a year.
He's not even, he didn't even transition from the Slacks to the Discords, did he?
No, he
No,
didn't.
but have you
'Cause, I
seen
mean, at that
this
point,
channel lately? Good God.
Dragon Ball Z mobile game, I think?
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z mobile game. He shot from like, what is it, like 8,000 views a month or something to like 100,000? Like,
Oh.
it's crazy.
Huh.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he found a niche.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's almost at 10,000 subs.
Mobile games?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he got, according to Social Blade, the ever venerable and always accurate Social Blade, he got 300,000 views last month.
Huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
That's not bad.
He figured something out.
Now,
That's
it's
like a
weird
third of mine
that
or something.
something like that would be public, but is that a reference for, say, like networks and other people, or why is that information public?
Because the videos are public.
Social Blade is interesting. What it does is it just like scrapes the publicly available data on your channel. So your sub count is publicly available,
Right.
and your total views are publicly available, and then your views per video is also available.
Yeah.
So what Social Blade
Ah.
will do, and it's really Social Blade sucks. Social Blade is not remotely accurate, by the
Well,
way.
doesn't it give you like A, B, C, D
Well,
grades
its single
too?
most
it does do
inaccurate
that.
thing is its guess at your income.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
just
like-
that your
well, they
income
give
is
it-
This guy could be
hilarious.
making anywhere from $10 to $10 million. I'm like, thanks, Social Blade. That's why you even bother guessing if your range is that big. Oh my god.
I mean that covers like the income brackets of like 95% of people in the world.
Yeah, according to Social Blade, my yearly earnings could be anywhere from 2.4K to 37.9K.
Yeah, it's destitute poverty to like lower like upper lower class. I guess that's solidly like lower middle, I think.
It's like straight up.
I think the middle is still considered 45.
Yeah,
like
so
50.
it's like lower middle.
It's just such a big range that it doesn't even qualify as like a guess.
No, it doesn't.
It's
just like saying
a number range.
It's like somebody asking me, "Hey, Bert, how big is a football field?" And I say, like, "Well, I'm guessing it's either 1 inch or a mile."
And yeah, usually the answer is somewhere in the middle, but they guess so vaguely you can't even really get a guess at where the middle value would be that is more accurate.
Right, yeah. So anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So they scrape the number of views you get per day by just comparing it to what the value was for your total number of views the day before, and that ends up being off by usually like 30%. Because like YouTube will say like, oh, I got like 400 views, and then Social Blade will say like I actually got 700 views, and it's like that's totally wrong. And I keep bouncing between the two to try and figure out if there's like a systematic level of error that I can detect and be like, well, I know that it's off because of this reason, and it doesn't exist. Social Blade is just always wrong. For as far as I can tell, no discernible, consistent reason.
Yeah. It's just like one of those weird things that
close.
It's close.
Isn't there also like Stat Sheep and what other ones?
Like Social Blade says my last month was 790,000 views, and the reality is 784,000.
Yeah, which is close.
And it says, and Social Blade says I've gained 1,312 subscribers, whereas I've gained 1,270. So it's like, I think it probably gets
margin
close.
of error is way less pronounced than mine is. Then
I think it's closer when you're bigger.
I would imagine that's probably accurate, because for me it's off by like 45%. Or like 50%.
I think
sometimes.
the issue is its margin of error might not be proportional to the size. So when you have a smaller channel, it might still have the same margin of error that it has for me, which could be anywhere from infinity to 0. By comparison, like at that point, the margin of error could be bigger than the actual numbers on the channel or something. So it's just like a nightmare, useless tool.
Yeah. Okay, hang on for 1 second. I'm having another technical problem, and then this will be over in like 10 seconds.
Why are you cursed?
2.
Why are
3,
you the most cursed?
4, 5.
Okay, it's resolved.
6. Pretty sure those seconds were longer than they're supposed to be.
Well, excuse the hell out of me. It's still
my countdown.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, you're the one who's in charge of that.
I don't know why you're making you try to be defensive over my self-criticism. I'm like so confused right now. I don't know if I'm attacked or defended.
No, you need to believe in your estimations more, Keith.
This is like how Greg talks to Skitter. Like, no, you need to stand up for yourself. It's like, what's happening? On the Sonic topic, it's always funny because whenever I upload a Sonic playthrough, people are like, "What the fuck? Why are you playing Sonic? What's going on? I'm so confused." And then I'll just
why are you playing Sonic?
I'll just link them back to that playlist, because you can click on the "Gotta Go Fast" headline to get a whole page dedicated to the Sonic playthroughs, and then they'll just have to realize that I have 8 of them now. It's only a surprise if you're not paying attention.
I had no idea that you played Sonic games.
I've played a lot of Sonic games.
This is the first I've seen of it.
So for the record, it's Sonic Adventure, Sonic 06, Sonic Generation, Sonic Boom, Sonic Lost World, Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic Adventure 2, and Sonic Unleashed. The secret is that if you want a game where you and your friend can just sit down and laugh at a game for a while and do whatever and just always have commentary and just it flows easily, you play a game,
Sonic game
where Sonic has to move in 3 dimensions, and it will just make itself. Because holy shit, like like that's the first thing that came to mind is when we played Sonic Adventure 2 when we were playing the supposed best level ever of Sonic Adventure 2 where you're snowboarding down the level, and already that level was embarrassing. That was supposed to be the amazing one everyone remembers.
I remember that level.
And like even in that one alone, I was already like, I'm so happy to be back because Sonic just moves so, and he moves more consistently, entertainingly than any character ever made. Because it's baffling and it's amazing.
This makes me wonder, like, what is the longest-lived video game series that has the most sequels and reiterations and whatnot? Probably Nintendo
Mario,
one?
or it's probably Sonic. I don't know which. That's a really interesting question.
Mario has a longer history, doesn't he? And more spin-offs and stuff.
Yeah.
He probably has, if you consider all of like the Mario Tennis, Mario Kart, and like all those.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you count that, then there's no contest.
Yeah, there's probably been a Mario game. There's probably been a game featuring or called Mario on some level every year. Period.
If you consider it, the Oregon Trail, that came out in like 1972 or something, and then it had a sequel like 6 years ago. So that's really long lived.
No, but I mean, like, how many iterations? Like, what has the most?
Well, if that's the case, then it's probably Pac-Man, because Pac-Man, Namco will just bust out Pac-Man every time they're like, the money level, it got too low. And then
like, I don't think
like,
Pac-Man and Tetris get enough iterations compared to Sonic and Mario. I don't think they're frequent enough. Like, they're long-lived.
I even gave my brother a game where it was the Olympic Games with Mario and Sonic casts together.
That was a few Olympics ago now.
Yep.
I know, I think they did a Summer Olympics and a Winter Olympics one.
Mm-hmm. Watching Eggman do the ribbon dance is kind of the most magical thing I've seen in a very, very long time.
Hold the phone. I need to look up this. Dr. Eggman.
Are you sure it's the ribbon dance or ice
Sonic
skating?
games are amazing to let's play if you don't have motion sickness problems like Wander, at least, because like they've never finished a Sonic game. Like, as far as I can tell,
no, they finished some of the early 2D ones.
Yeah, but they're
actually polished and beautiful.
No 3D Sonic game has ever been finished. Ever.
No, they always run out of money and or time. And holy crap, Eggman dancing is beautiful.
Told you.
He's so
magic.
Graceful, and his feet are so big.
For perspective, every Sonic game ever, Sega treated their development team almost exactly how EA treated Mass Effect Andromeda's development team, basically. Where it's like, just fucking get it out by this date. I don't care. At some point, here's your budget, here's your time. It's happening, no matter what. And so, like,
I
they're amazing to watch.
There's it's either a book or a documentary or something like that where somebody documented what it was like working for Sega in the 90s, the console wars. Is that the name of a book or a documentary? I don't know what it is. I've just vaguely heard of this thing, and I've been meaning to watch it, but apparently, like, 90s Sega was more or less just like propped up on one dude who just like would not release anything in the United States if he didn't think it passed like his level of quality control.
Oh.
And he like basically single-handedly built Sega, at least in America. And like he built the marketing
they did
images.
Not learn from that lesson, apparently.
He built like the marketing, he built like the way they wanted the game to feel, and then he quit the company and well, let's say we all know. We all could tell when that happened.
They just outright disregarded that, and then they just moved on, learning nothing from that, and just continued to churn out garbage.
Yeah, it's a damn shame.
Publishers of such great gems as Sonic and Aliens Colonial Marines.
I mean, that's oh god.
They're doing some they've done some A+ things with that Aliens franchise over the years too.
We're playing The Escapist 2 right now, and that's a Team 17 game, and they kind of did the same thing with Worms.
Oh yeah,
Worms. Oh man, Worms got better. Some of the 3D Worms games now are decent, but
yeah, like every iteration since was a Revolution has actually been good. Clan Wars was better. Like they're getting better. It's just the iterations are so similar and so like not creative.
Timid.
Yeah. And like I feel like they made risks in the transition to 3D that earned them a lot of flack, and so now they're afraid of like innovating again. And I mean, technically, we do keep getting really good Worms games that are all the same.
Something that really,
I suppose so. Yeah,
something that really amazingly speaks to the quality of the Sonic franchise is that when Sonic Unleashed came out, it was during a generational split between consoles. So they were making it for Xbox 360 and PS3, but they also wanted it to be on PS2 and the Wii because those were the two most popular consoles at the time, despite the new generation. Or Wii was part of the generation, but whatever. But the Wii and PS2 couldn't handle the same games, so they were making a last-gen game because the Wii was a last-gen console despite being a new thing. What was incredible about the story is that, so like Andrew and I played the 360 version and experienced that, and it was a train wreck. But I've been watching other people go through and play the Wii version, which is the old gen one, and it is so clearly passed off to like a soulless, like it's clearly passed off to one of those teams that would handle like video game adaptations of movies that have to be done in 6 months and stuff like that. People that are just going to soullessly craft out really boring cookie cutter filler levels, basically. And what's incredible about this situation is that the lead team for Sonic has so little restraint and focus, and just is so unorganized and weirdly like schizophrenic about how they want to make their games, that the Wii and PS2 version has better level design than the 360 and PS3 version, and is generally more fun to play, despite clearly being passed off to the B team. It's like when it's like when Abraham Vampire Slayer was so bad that when the Asylum made their token ripoff that they always do, Abraham Lincoln Zombie Slayer, people liked that one more.
Yeah.
Like it was that happened within Sonic between the A-B team and B team ports of Sonic Unleashed, because they just it's the lead team on Sonic is just a nightmare. And I can't look away, and I'm so excited every time they make a new game, because I just want to see like Sonic Forces. In Sonic Forces, they're embracing the fan base that wants to make their own fucking Birdcatcher the Hedgehog. Like where you type in your name plus you just type in your name plus the hedgehog, and you get somebody's horrible OC. Like that's in Sonic Forces. I'm like, I can't wait. I'm gonna make my own Sonic OC, and we're gonna play it. And it's still gonna be a shitty game probably.
Forever.
Sonic Forces custom character. What?
Yep.
My god.
Let's see.
My god.
I just typed in Shell the Hedgehog.
Wait, what?
Uh-huh. And I'm posting that in the podcast chat, because that's that's somebody with your name that went and made a original Sonic OC character.
Oh my god, they look like Rouge. I cannot look away from this.
Shell or
I spelled
shell,
it like you're spelled,
shell.
but that was the first search result that came up. Oh man, I like this
But
one.
it's not
Carl the
mine.
Hedgehog is 15 years old. He spells gender Gendure. He's a brown Gendure. It's French. He's a brown and gold hedgehog, and he's spectacular. He licks, drawing, hanging around with friends. Gymnastics is one of the best. He can't spell likes, even though he's 15. 3 years away from graduating high school. This is what being a Sonic fan does to you.
Ruins your brain, kids. Ruins your brain.
Like the Sonic, the religious
Keith
Sonic
the Hedgehog is a
art.
badass anime sword man.
Yeah, I looked that up a long time ago. It was great.
Wait, I think I've seen this one a long time ago too. Oh my god, I have not. Oh, Lord have mercy.
It looks like Shadow, and he has hair over half his face, and he's like posing with the sword behind his back. And he's got a gun, and he's got too many belts.
He's got a gun and a sword.
He's dressed all dapper, but then he ruined it by going to Shadowrun with it.
Yeah. I like how he's got.
Honestly, I feel like
straps on his shoes and then straps on his coat.
I honestly still feel like I won.
Yeah,
probably.
What if I type in Birdcatcher the Hedgehog?
I don't think you're gonna get a result for
Probably
that.
not.
You're gonna have to try your real name.
No, I just got a picture of Shadow the Hedgehog. All right. My favorite Sonic fan art phenomenon is religious
The result
Sonic
I got
the
for your
Hedgehog.
name was somebody just drawing over the 3D model.
No.
Yep.
Mpreg Sonic.
Mpreg?
Why are you typing these in?
What the hell is this? 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 What the hell is this?
Go.
Oh, every image is getting worse.
And I ended up on a picture of Sonic and Shadow caressing each other's cheeks, but Shadow is a centaur.
I saw that too, man.
Oh,
What?
Shell the
What?
Hedgehog. I looked this up a while ago. Looks like a hooker.
Oh yeah, Shell the
There's
Hedgehog.
also a yellow one
hilarious.
that's pretty popular too.
I don't know. I don't want any of this anything.
What is this fan base?
I always liked the echidnas more than the hedgehogs in Sonic.
Here's one of my favorite pieces of Sonic fan art I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm gonna paste it in to the podcast chat.
Sonic was once lost, but now he is found in Jesus Christ. Blessed is he whose help is the God of Jacob, whose hope is in the Lord his God. Psalm 146:5.
Yeah, dude, there's so much Sonic the Hedgehog religious fan art. Oh, what the hell is this?
In Microsoft Paint.
What the hell is this?
So
we don't need to read this, but look at this muscle chow.
All right, chat, enjoy Googling
Muscle
your
chow.
name, the Hedgehog, and just witness these weird nightmares.
What the hell is this?
I don't know if I should be more concerned about Muscle Chow or the gargantuan Shadow Bulge or the fact that Shadow's his rocket shoes are apparently turned on despite the fact that he's seating on his on his knees. So he's like
What
turbo
the
praying,
hell?
like he's like crushing his knees into the floor. He's like, that's not how jetpacks work.
Why is this Chow reading the Bible too? What?
This is up there with those minion pregnancy phone app games.
What?
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
What?
There's an entire
Pregnant.
industry for pregnancy video games about minions and Elsa and stuff like that.
Where they make the characters pregnant, I think,
God.
right?
And that's the sound
What?
of Bird Googling that.
It's,
Oh no!
for some reason, you can't look up any kind of fandom without there being either like pregnant or morbidly like
God.
gore obese.
When you stare into the abyss
Characters.
stares back.
What the? What the hell is this? Pregnant minion versus pregnant Elsa?
What?
Brought us to
What?
this
They have
topic.
violent verses.
What?
Sonic Forces.
Yeah,
You were
how
talking
do you
about
have
right,
a custom
right.
character.
all of the
Now I
horrid
remember.
shit.
How are you
that,
gonna have a pregnancy fight? How are you gonna have a contest? How are you gonna versus somebody while having a baby? That doesn't make any
Actually,
goddamn sense.
going
What
full
are they just
circle.
comparing baby bumps or something?
no,
Like, what's the deal?
they're literally like both in hospital beds, and it just says like Minion versus Elsa.
So
Wait,
I-
are they supposed to pop the baby out faster than the other? Is that what it is?
I don't know.
I
Maybe.
actually have an example of how you could do a pregnancy fight. Because one of the first games I ever played with Andrew on Sad Games back in 2011, to be specific, September 14th, 2011, we played a game called Baby Maker Extreme 2 from Stegosaurus Games. And it was a game where you play. It was an Xbox Live indie game where you play as a pregnant person and you just mash the B button as hard as you can for a certain amount of time, and then the baby pops out, and it just goes. It turns into a physics object that shoots across a two-dimensional plane as far as possible and bounces off various objects in the environment. And if you make it far enough, then you earn like boosts so that you can like do an additional jump along the way. Basically,
it's the turtle cannon games.
Yeah, where you're shooting a physics object forward. So technically, two people can battle out that way for high scores.
For some reason, when I was imagining you like talking about a baby making game, I was just imagining you having to play someone who, you know, has to get into like a kind of relationship with a guy, get themselves pregnant, then, you know, have to
Super
deal with
CRISPR Simulator 2017.
Then they have to deal with 9 months of like eating the proper diet, going to your medical professional, making sure you don't harm yourself. I don't know.
Oh my god, somebody is going to make that game, Shell.
It's gonna be terrible.
Yeah.
Gosh,
that's
A game
true.
about
You
being
got that right.
Afraid of the prospect of pregnancy. It'd be kind of like, you know how they
So
give
you're talking about
people
a game that's about being like properly healthy while coming to term.
Yeah. Wow.
That might exist already,
Dude,
but I don't know if I'd
Xbox
ever
Live
want to.
indie games were so goddamn bad.
Yeah. That's
I
why
still
Andrew and
remember
I
your
played.
Smash-a-Seal. That was the
Yeah.
worst.
That's why Andrew and I played 162 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all in a gargantuan nightmare playlist. And wow. Our jokes are bad and our voice recording quality is bad, but the games are worse.
Oh, a glowing endorsement if I ever
The
heard
games
one.
sure are worse. There's like
All right.
5 gems in there that are really cool and a lot of like borderline like unethical releases to charge for.
Cool. Well, speaking of borderline unethical games, Wander, how's that Dwarf Fortress game you've been playing?
It is
How is it unethical?
not.
Okay.
It's unethical because it's too good.
Is it unethical because you do horrible things to the people you're ordering around?
No,
No.
it's just like it just sucks up too much of your time.
It is like actually.
So like, are we going to charge Factorio for war crimes?
Yes.
This is legitimately like a really good
That
game.
begs the question:
Mhm.
have there been video games that have been taken to court for killing people inadvertently? Like actually,
they don't-
StarCraft probably
they don't
did.
reach. They don't reach that level. They get thrown out before
I know
they get that
StarCraft has
far.
killed people.
Yeah,
But no, people try to
StarCraft,
sue video
Warcraft.
game companies all the time for like, oh, it's immoral or whatever, and the courts just don't even bother to hear the case.
It's
Anyway,
it's really
yeah,
your
so-
own fault for obsessively playing one game infinitely forever and then not dying
Yeah.
because you didn't human correctly.
Okay,
yeah, and I
bef-
suppose they do have the warnings for epilepsy and other things because
Yeah.
the whole like thing with Pokemon episode of the Celadon City gym burning.
Yeah,
Porygon.
video games
Supposedly
have
that
tried
affects a
very
lot of
hard
people.
to remove any epilepsy related things from anything to be anyway because it's not
Mhm.
it's not great to have happen to anybody, even if you do have a
Yeah.
warning. So people do try to remove the types of flashing that
Strobing.
cause epileptic attacks from their
Mhm.
games nowadays. But older games, you're way more in trouble. Or if you watch a JonTron video, because dude loves to flash shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude loves flashing lights for some reason.
yeah. So Stonehearth is the game that I've been playing. It's my current Patreon sponsored series. It was something that I always wanted to play, but like I heard from people that it was like buggy as shit and needed
Which
work.
it is.
And it very much is. Both of those things. But like beyond that, it's actually a rather positive experience. It's I mean, effectively it's this you are playing Dwarf Fortress. I mean, straight up it is just a Dwarf Fortress kind of equivalent game. You have like you start with 7 people and you have to build a village. You have to make sure that they don't die or kill themselves somewhere along the way and kind of I don't know. I'm having a hard time like describing it because ultimately it's like this weirdly
I've just been watching you build a very detailed house with many lamps along its exterior.
so people get depressed if it's too dark. So I just have lamps upon lamps as just my
On the exterior of the house?
yeah. Oh yeah, they don't they spend most of their time outside, so
That's how
Oh, yeah.
video games work. You
Yeah.
just
Even at night?
punch them into working the right way, even if it makes
Yeah.
no sense.
yeah, no, I spent all of last night digging into a mountain and building like this cool cave town, and the game just could not handle it. It was having the hardest time because the interesting point about this game is you're specifically building this town, but they haven't really gotten like Z-axis priority, so you're supposed to build it outside in like a clearing and stuff. Which is how most people do it, but not me, not recently, because I was like, okay, screw it. I'm gonna have the underground town, and I'm going to have it be this like kind of ridiculous entity that can't be attacked by monsters and so on and so forth. And it turns out all the monsters spawn in above you. and then freak out because they can't figure out how to get there. They're like, they actively will like effectively panic. They'll like run around in circles for a little while and then despawn and be like, well, shit, I guess that's they're not here. But the game then proceeds to leave them as like an entity, so they're like continually panicking forever, being like, they're not here, where are they, I can't figure it out. And it's bizarre. But I mean, beyond that, it's actually like really well handled. The buildings are this kind of like, I mean, they're like Minecraft things, but with like a zero texture, just kind of your standard low poly style. And it looks really nice. And it's also got like some cool RPG mechanics that I don't really abuse too much. But supposedly there's some like kind of cool things that you can mess around with.
And who's died thus far? I know that
no
you've been
one,
naming...
not a single person has died.
Oh, really? Because
It's
you've been
actually
naming everyone
it's
after
super
fans,
forgiving.
Right?
It looks easier than Dwarf Fortress for
The
sure.
it is very
longer
easy.
that nobody dies, the more pressure there is, and the more it feels like a failure when it finally happens.
That's
how I felt playing State of Decay. It's like, no one's died still. Oh, it's gonna stick with me when somebody finally dies. So,
yes.
I got distracted while you were talking about that, and I had to investigate an earlier picture.
Okay.
A picture of what?
So remember the Shadow and Sonic Centaur picture?
Centaurs?
Or when
Yes.
we're
What?
looking at that being confused, I found that it was I realized it was a DeviantArt link, so I was like, let's look at the actual
Oh
DeviantArt
no!
page.
Why did you dive deeper into the
So,
poo
like,
hole?
The picture's title is Shadow, Mpreg, and Pirate Sonic. So now we have the additional vector of of Sonic being a pirate. The description is, yes, Shadow got pregnant by Sonic XD. Oh, is Sonic a little taller than Shadow, I think? Oh? This moment is Sonic is kinda looks like letting Shadow go to give birth somewhere because Shadow wants him to come with him, but he can't because he's a pirate of his crew. His crew knew Sonic is having a His crew knew Sonic is having a baby with the wolf/hedgehog, so he didn't say anything to them because what if they ended up like Sonic XD? Hee hee.
I
Categorized
wanted
under
to meet the father of my baby, but it turns out he's a pirate. Next up on Maury Povich.
So apparently in this picture, Sonic's a pirate and Shadow is half
He
Centaur.
doesn't look like a pirate. There's nothing piratey about him.
He's got a skull on his hat, which also has a bandana. Apparently, that's confusing. Shadow's apparently a wolf centaur. And Sonic's such an asshole. He won't even go to actually be there when they give birth.
Sonic has green. He's got strong bad eyes in this picture.
I feel like in these cases, a picture must be made by like a child that doesn't understand the concept of pregnancy or what it even means.
I feel like this is either made by like an 8-year-old, like that's messed up in the head, or like a 25-year-old that's bored.
So I'm closing that book
probably
for now,
the latter,
but damn.
from what I've seen.
Probably. What the hell? You
You
got me looking at this damn Mpreg stuff again. Thanks, Keith. Thanks a lot.
I didn't introduce this. I just introduced that characters that there's the nightmare that is
Everyone will be able to make their own fan characters. That'll be fun.
I was just making fun of the whole Google your name, the hedgehog, and Wander was like, I'm going to introduce the worst thing to this, and then I'm just following through with what we found.
Too much. There's too much stuff here, man.
So, speaking of
here.
terrible, terrible things, no one else watched Death Note, right?
No. Is it the live action one?
The moment I saw that trailer, I'm like, well, maybe it'll be decent. And then afterwards, I was like, I'm stupid.
No. Yeah, the Death Note Netflix live action movie is a disaster.
Why?
It is it's unrecognizable on every level.
Okay.
Like, it's not like one of those adaptations where, like, they really glossed over those plot points and it's going too fast. Because, like, the obvious, like, from the get-go, you expect the criticisms to be like, it's a 38-episode show, I think. And, like, how are they going to make a 90-minute movie out of that? It's going to be way too fast. The answer is they didn't. They made up their own story. but they also Ryuk is not Ryuk, Light is not Light, L is not L. The Death Note does not have the same rules that it has in the source material. It's just the only connection is that there are characters called Ryuk, Light, and L, and that there is a thing that you can write names in to kill people. Almost everything else has changed. The dynamic between characters has changed. Every character's personality is different. Ryuk has a completely different role in the story, and the Death Note has a bunch of really contrived bullshit rules that were clearly written at the last minute to make individual scenes work in the story.
Ooh.
Because that's how poorly written this thing is. There's an actual rule they add, which, by the way, they say is like rule like 130 or something, because there's even though the original Death Note had like maybe 8 rules. This one has like hundreds of rules, apparently. One of them is that if you write down somebody's name in the Death Note, and what you can do before they die is you can take out the page and you can burn the page, and that'll stop the Death Note from killing them, but you can only do it once ever.
That's the stupidest plot device I've ever heard in my goddamn life, and I assume they used it. I assume they used it. They used it immediately.
They literally introduced it so the next scene can use it, basically. And in fact, the entire climax is built around that exact mechanic, because 2 different characters have their names in the Death Note, and there's an issue of burning it. But like on one level, like the idea that you can take back something written in the Death Note, like, it kind of sucks because it invalidates the threat of the entire thing on some level, but you can almost see it being used in an interesting way in the anime for a particular story arc or something like that, because of the whole part where you can write people's deaths to take place in the future as opposed to right away. But the part where you're like, and you can only do it once. I'm like, what kind of contrived bullshit is that? Like, that's just lazy movie writing. But
this has received a critical review here of a bad decision on top of a festering pile of bad decisions. Lazy, unambitious, forgettable, and boring.
Boy, oh boy.
Damn.
Really, the worst part is just that my favorite character of the whole thing is L, and he's not in the movie. There's a character called L that has 0 things in common with L, and it's infuriating.
What are you to say, Shell?
I find it funny. I go to a lot of video game and anime conventions because I have artist alley tables there. I cosplay there and whatnot. And it's interesting when you're at an artist alley table because, people come up and they'll browse around, and there were, the occasional Death Note cosplayers, and some of them do have a book on them. And it's sort of like a fun thing. They get everyone to sign their book as some sort of like, look at all the people I met at the convention. But like my friends at the neighboring table were like, don't do it. Don't. And I signed like one of my like nicknames as like a funny thing because it's really just like a signature book for like, hey, look at all the cool people I met at the convention. But there's just some sort of like weird feeling like, should I have done that? Nah, it's just someone's fun book. I wonder how many people have like gotten journals like that and written names in them for the express purpose of be like,
I sincerely hope none, but I know I'm wrong.
So when I was in middle school, I had moved to North Carolina, and I had some problems being like, okay, this place kind of sucks because these kids are mean and I don't like it. And so I was going to the school counselor, and she's like, well, why don't you write about it? I wrote about it, and a lot of it was kind of nasty
about
stuff.
All bad kids?
Yeah, I wrote about the bad kids and like the shit they did to me and how I didn't like them and I thought they were jerks. And so they found it and brought it to the principal and the counselor, who decided the best thing to do would be to give me detention for writing about my feelings on words from the counselor.
What? But
that was an awful school. That was the same school that tried to get me expelled because some other kid stole my project and passed it off as his.
How did he steal your project?
It was in my desk. I was out for a day. He stole it, passed it off as his because he didn't have a reference.
Project?
No, it was a 15-page paper that I printed.
Oh my god!
And so the kid passes it off as his, and teachers, when it comes time for like things to come out, teachers like, so did you do this? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, huh, okay. And then eventually like the principal got involved because plagiarism is a big deal.
But couldn't your parents have like proved that they had the original?
Well,
file
yeah,
on
I
your
printed.
computer
So I was out for a day. I printed off the full project with revisions because it was the rough draft that the kid stole.
Okay.
And so he stole the rough draft and turned it in. I came in with the final product, which was...
So then they thought that you took it from him.
Yeah.
And how did that end up?
So the teacher convinced the principal that, expelling me and whatever, discipline wasn't necessary yet, and that she was going to look into it.
They thought about expelling you?
Yeah. And
wow.
So what ended up happening was...
I'm constantly appalled at the number of times that Carl has been put into detention, expelled, beaten up. I never experienced any of that in school.
So this was kind of a messed up school that had like a very clear social issue based on like race and economic disparity and a couple other things. So like kid punched my brother in the back of the face and slammed him into a wall, but because he was nothing came of it because everybody just accused my brother of being racist, even though he had like a bloody nose and very clearly didn't do that to himself. I don't know. Anyway, but effectively, it was one of those where like they were afraid of doing anything that might come off as like racially motivated because it would be.
Oh,
I don't
fun.
really like talking about this. See, my tormentors were all white kids, so I didn't have to worry about it too much.
Wait, but I thought there was your one friend and all his buddies from the different social group that beat you.
Oh, well, okay.
Because
do we want to just tell Wander deals with racist stories?
This was an interesting response from Shell in response to Wander saying, "I don't really want to talk about this." It was to dig deeper immediately.
No.
Well,
it was.
This is
said
a
that
side
I
step.
only dealt with one subgroup, and I'm like, wait a minute, but there was another story.
Okay, so in California, I had a Chinese friend, and I was his primary white friend, and he went to Chinese school with a bunch of other guys.
Did you exchange tokens when you met each other?
That's awful.
That is pretty bad.
What's tokens?
Yeah.
Wow. Anyway, but so they all went to Chinese school together and hung out a bunch. So I'd often get excluded to the point where they stopped talking to me altogether because they were the Asian invasion and I wasn't Asian, and so I spent 5th and 6th grade more or less friendless. Yeah, I was the outsider, and I don't know. It was stupid. I was not.
Then you got beat up and then blamed for it.
Well, yeah. What happened was like I was trying to play with them, and everybody was like messing around and playing keep away and whatever. And so I ended up with one guy's sunglasses, and he didn't appreciate that, so he attacks me for it. And somebody else is holding my arms while he's punching me. And so me doing the 4th grader thing of not knowing what the hell to do, I bit the kid that was holding me because I'm getting slugged, not like play slugged. This was like semi-serious slug from another 4th grader. So I bit the kid. I got in school suspension for that for a week. That was fun. But yeah. Do we want to keep down this track, or we can keep going?
I'm pretty speechless right now.
Yeah, I have authority problems, which I'm very happy I'm self-employed now.
This conversation was happier when it was about Mpreg Sonic.
I really don't know what to say. I mean, I've heard some of these stories before, and I just am astounded that you were just like a locus. It's like you were a black hole for shitty things happening to you in school. Like
he just
did
made
a
the wrong
gypsy
friends.
curse you or something?
I keep
what happened?
maintaining
It's
the
not
fact
even
that,
that
he made
like
the wrong friends.
being perpetually the new kid does not help
I guess.
in school systems that don't have a whole lot of new kids.
Yeah.
Like some new kids will definitely like integrate well, others won't. And so specifically for California, I was the only new kid in my grade for 3 years straight. Like nobody else came in. A couple people left, but that was about it. So it was very easy to just not, integrate me into the group, and none of the teachers really bothered. My 2nd grade teacher singled me out for a lot of stuff, which was not helpful. And so you end up with the odd kid out that none of the teachers know what to do with. That's doesn't quite fit in either, because I was I was like very motivated for certain things in school. So we had I'm trying to remember what the game was called. There was like a math game that you could play, and I was the number one student in the school for that. And they had like a competition and whatnot. And so they sent me to the competition with like zero resources with like 2 other kids. Just being like, well, it's just him, so I guess he gets to go, but we're not going to actually like tell him about any of this stuff. So I get there, and apparently my school has been having me play on the rules from multiple years prior, and never saw fit to tell me about this one. That was a surprise when I got disqualified on the first round for not knowing how to play.
Do you guys want to hear the earliest time I'd ever been disciplined in school? Like the story behind that?
I'm wondering. Yes. I just am mentally trying to think about like how it's going to compare to Wander's story, and I assume then the Shell story, it's going to be something
broke
like
a pencil lead in the no pencil lead zone.
I was going to say she showed up late for a lunch period or something.
Okay, so I was in kindergarten, and all of us kids, it was sort of like it was a cold school, and the floors were completely covered in like linoleum tiles, but most of the tiles were sort of a gray color, and there were the occasional colored ones because, kids' classroom, you're going to have the red ones and the blue ones and the green ones and whatnot. And so all of us kids were all sitting on the rug around the teacher, and we were able to like chat before class actually started and whatever. So I was chatting with my best friend, and apparently I was too loud and too boisterous with my gesticulations. Maybe I was telling a story or something. You guys would be quite familiar with that. And the teacher was just like, Michelle, you're being too loud. Sit on the blue block. Everyone's like, no, not the blue block.
You're being too loud, 6-year-old.
So I had to sit a couple feet off the rug on the singular blue linoleum tile on the floor for the rest of the day while everyone else got to sit on the rug.
You gotta drill that ostracism into children at a young age, or they won't learn it right.
Teachers really
they do some really fucked
sometimes.
up things to the psychology of the children they're in charge of sometimes.
I'm crying right now because I'm laughing at the whole.
It's actually like really dark on some level. When I was in kindergarten, I got my head stuck in the bars.
That's probably your own fault.
Yeah, there was a big blue gate out front that was closed, and they would open when all the parents arrived after school and stuff. And I would always stick my head through the bars and stuff like that. But that's an age where you're growing a lot. So by the end of the year, I finally got my head stuck in the bars, and they had to bend the bars open.
Oh,
they were not thick bars. They were like half-inch thick, like shitty aluminum-looking bars. But somebody had to bend them open so I could get out.
One of the only times I ever got in trouble in school was in like 1st or 2nd grade. I don't really remember. And what happened was some kid tried to punch me, like jokingly, and then he missed. Like we were friends, but he like tried to punch me we were probably playing a game, like let's punch each other, the game or something. I don't remember why. Point is, I got punched. The kid sucked at punching, so he misses, and he punched me in the hand. And my response to this was to point out which finger was the finger that he hit. So I was like, you only hurt this finger. And I just like flashed like my middle finger at this kid in front of the entire classroom. And I had no idea. I'd never even heard of flipping somebody off before.
Yeah.
But my teacher, I immediately got into trouble, and I was just like, I don't have any comprehension of what I did being wrong. And people are saying that what I did was bad, and I have no idea why. But I guess I'll believe them.
It's brutal when you're like a child to a young teenager, and you're offending people without even knowing why, and they won't even explain why because they're so offended by the thing. I literally used the phrase "a chink in the armor" when I was like 12 years old on Diablo, and somebody was furious with me and would never talk to me again, and I didn't understand what was happening. And I guess, and I'm like, I literally was like, I don't know. It's just a phrase I know that is just talking about armor. I don't know what's going on here, but someone's mad at me.
Huh.
You have to like
Yeah, the end of the story was the teacher figured out pretty quickly that I was completely clueless, and this was like, okay, I'm not going to punish you, but just don't ever flip people off again. And I was like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what the phrase. I've heard I had never heard the phrase "flip people off" before, and I heard it like 7 times back to back, and I was like, can someone please tell me what that means? But nobody did.
people are bad at adulting sometimes.
That's pretty much the only time I ever really got in trouble at school. Aside from that, I was too much of a damn Boy Scout, and I was way too like popular, so nobody ever wanted to mess with me.
I think another time.
There you go.
Another time in elementary school, like the last 5 minutes of recess, I was forced to sit against the wall because I was chasing after the girls that were smushing butterflies and telling them to stop. And because it was a group of them and it was like one of me, they're like, this girl's bothering us. And I'm like, they're killing butterflies. And the teacher's like, you sit against the wall. And I'm like, but the butterflies, no.
That's horrible.
I know, and they were killing the bees too. Poor bumblebees.
You're jealous of Bert's popularity. It was convenient. I never got bullied because the thing that I did was I always befriended the bullies and then never talked to them. But like that way, like I didn't associate with like the bullies and I didn't bully anybody. But like bullies never like messed with me because they thought I was cool. So
that's the trick.
It was just like, you know,
be sentient broccoli. Never get bothered.
The secret is to make everybody like you. Why didn't anyone ever think about that?
Yeah, all you have to do is don't be yourself. Number 1, never do that. I'm kidding.
I remember one of the top times someone like explicitly tried to bully me was mostly like all they accomplished was mostly just being confusing. Because
bullying is confusing.
I was in my junior year of high school in my German class, and this person that has been in those classes for the last 3 years also, he starts just like he's like he turns around from the desk in front of me and he starts like slamming my German book closed and putting it on the floor and shit like that and just glaring at me like, what are you gonna do about it and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I stared at him in confusion and other people stared at him in confusion and everyone's just like, what is happening? Like it was straight up like it was like the beginning of 21 Jump Street, the movie that the reboot they made where he tries to walk in and has this like 80s cartoon idea of like how like social groups work in high school, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go punch this guy and that'll make everyone respect me and stuff, but like everyone else is just like actual modern teenagers. And like, that was basically what happened in real life. Is just like everyone being like, what's happening? What are you doing? And he seems to just be like an idiot. Like he was a football player, but he wasn't particularly popular or anything or liked by anyone. So like he had no real like social cachet or whatever the hell to like lean on here. He was just being an insane person. And before long, he started showing up to school with black eyes because this shit doesn't fly. And he was trying to like make power grabs that nobody was interested in letting him have. I don't know. People behave really strangely in the bizarre temporary setting that is school.
Oh. Sorry.
Shell likes to
I think
commentate
Shell
when I'm
just
playing
reacted.
these games. Yeah.
I think Shell just reacted to something that happened in Wander's game.
I'm playing Stonehearth while we do
suddenly
this.
heard meow, meow,
And
meow.
like, yeah. Just a
noises.
random monster attack, and she's like, "Oh no!" And I'm like, "It's fine, we're good."
Sorry, Keith.
Wander
was eaten by a Gru.
Yep. Dude, this game would be great if it had Grus. Actually, no, it wouldn't. That'd be really annoying.
It'd be significantly more likely to have Despicable Me Gru than anything else. We don't want more minions in more things.
I liked the idea of Despicable Me up until I realized that it was going to become
characters
terrible. Shell picked up ketchup the other day, and it was
the only natural Heinz version of the ketchup had them on it. I'm sorry, I couldn't choose anything else. If you want simply Heinz without corn syrup, whatever's, you need to get that one.
Yeah.
for the time
I
being.
was just mildly offended. I was like, really?
Your Heinz
You?
ketchup is just like, Hail Hydra. Grade you. Yeah, when I watched the movie Despicable Me, I'm like, this is fine. But then it became apparent that it was becoming like the vehicle for like basically being like DreamWorks' Cars.
We had to make.
Wait, Pixar has
we had
Cars.
to make Minion games.
Oh yeah, you did, didn't you?
I got some serious mileage out of working out of a place at 1 year. The amount of hatred I gained for multimedia increased
I want to
by
say like how many
absurd
goddamn
amounts.
games.
So I was
Like
pumping out games
there's a
at about
narrow window between you going to college and you being a YouTuber in which you apparently worked on 5,000 games.
Well, no, I worked.
He was helping do
Yeah.
little fixes on tons of
Yeah,
games.
so I was animation bitch. I would help everybody else. So I got to work on everything per week. I wasn't just.
Oh,
like,
you were
on
basically
one
a
game.
tweener?
Yeah.
I didn't know
tweener.
that.
And so
I
I had
didn't
to
know
do. I had to do all the tweening for everybody else's keyframes, meaning
Dude.
I
And
did tweening for
thumbnails.
Tweening-
You have
SpongeBob,
to do thumbnails.
Patrick,
Dude,
and like
tweening sucks. Tweening
it
is
was-
so shitty.
it was
I'm
fun
sorry
for
they had
all
to
of
do that.
It was fun for all of two products, which was Power Rangers and Legend of Korra, because they actually had good animations. Everything else was just like the shitty, like super. I mean, it looked like Domo-kun animation, like the. And I'm just like, well, I guess this is my life.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know
and
you
so
were a
that's why
tweener. That really
yeah.
blows.
That's
No
why I
wonder you
picked up my
hated it
hatred
so
for
much.
everything.
If
Yeah.
Chad didn't know Skinner box, I'm pretty sure you're gonna have to explain tweening for them and keyframes.
Okay, so
Well,
for
it's
people-
it's pretty
in-between animations,
straightforward.
right?
Yeah, so for people that don't know, tweening is a type of animation that you do. So when you see like an animation, generally what you're actually seeing are the keyframes, the points of, I guess, the slow moments in
So it's
between.
like if your hand starts here, but then you swish it this way.
Yeah, and so I was in charge of the in motion stuff that people don't see that much, and so like a good animation company will have like this really nice like stretch and skew, so you get this like really smooth animation. If you're churning out one game per 3 to 14 days, they don't give a shit. All you have to do is just make the like really shitty basic mechanical animations in between, and you have to make a lot of them. And so that was my job. And so I worked on quite a lot of things.
Bird was like, "This is my chance to evacuate," and he has fled his chair the moment you started explaining tweening.
He needed a drink.
Goodbye, Bird.
I'm sorry, I just returned.
Welcome back, Bird.
Thank you.
Did you drink?
Was somebody asked of me?
No.
Or
He was
or
just
is
pointing
Keith
out
just
that
I just
you
skipped to your
used me
stream.
as
I'm
a
like,
smoke
I bet he's
screen, and-
gone. Bye.
yeah.
Like, oh, Bird is
What?
streaming a chair.
Yep.
I literally just got up to get a glass of water.
I
Yes.
know. You just give me this lengthy
I know what a tweener is, so I was just
yeah.
like, I'll let Wander answer this, and I'll just go get some water. I apologize for being an opportunist.
Literally not a problem. I just felt like pointing it out, and then
Oh, yeah.
everyone reacted. And we could
No,
probably
I'm aware. I think
if we want, we could probably get another 5 minutes out of this.
yeah.
All right.
How's
You have the
Dream
floor.
Daddy,
Well, were we
Bird?
going to answer questions at all?
Oh, yeah, we should do that.
So actually, maybe we shouldn't answer this for Grave of Man, but somebody asked during Keith's Q&A stream that I
Q&A?
figured we might as well field as a group. Why don't we bring on guests like Harmon Quest for stuff like Grave of Man and our tabletop games? And the answer is because it would be a nightmare.
You know what a Harmon
Don't you
Quest
want to?
has is like a whole department dedicated to like making connections with
Editing
people
things,
that are all
yeah.
going to come
Yes.
together to at a scheduled time for this thing that they're literally hired to do and contractually obligated to show up for. Whereas YouTubing is like, hey, you want to do this thing? Yeah, and then then it's time to do it. You're like, no. We've had
Crickets.
we've had 3 different people that are not Colonel RPG but other people say yes to the podcast, then not show up the day of the podcast. So trying to do that for a series or like play a character in Grave of Man, like so many other things, like it is a nightmare to come up with consistent people generally. And Yeah, there's a lot to go through. And if you find anyone who's professional enough to be consistent, they're also probably busy. It's not easy to acquire groups of people for that stuff. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why you look at Game Grumps and you look at the every part of like Grumpcade whenever they have like guest people on. There's a reason why those playthroughs are always like 4 episodes long at max, and then they just disappear forever. It's because it's actually really hard to get people together.
Do that. I mean, Grumpcade is almost always one-offs now that just happen to be really long. Because it's a lot easier to get somebody to show up once and stick around for a while than it is to get somebody to show up multiple times.
Yeah, but for like a year they would try to bring by like the Completionist and Oni and other people like that, and they would be there for like what was essentially 40 minutes total of content spread across 4 episodes, and then that was it.
Right.
And that's because like getting people together.
Well, I mean, now they can get Oni anytime they want, aren't they? They recently got their own office, but up until that, didn't they share a building for a long time?
They've had the office for a while, or this is their second office or something.
Yeah,
I thought their office was pretty cool. Carl was showing me the video
That's
that they
what mountains
posted.
of money will do for you. They make a ton. They make so much money they can hire their friends in almost made up jobs to make more money. And then that
because they had
them
little
work on
studio
stuff.
rooms for the editors and all of this like couch space for specific recording setups.
In my office, it's pretty Spartan and pretty straightforward. It's like what you'd expect for like white collar work. Like I got my desk, I got my computer, I got my little area, and yeah.
Yep.
That is not the case for most tech companies. Because I've been to other tech companies, and other tech companies' offices are fucking insane.
Hey, we have a beanbag, but we don't sit in it much.
I went to like the Facebook office, and it looked like somebody dropped a nuclear bomb in the middle of a storage closet, and everyone just went and decided to start working there. There's like posters like on the ground. Like none of it makes any goddamn sense. It was nuts. And then like in one
Mad
room,
Max Toys R Us.
I went to one floor of the Facebook office, and I just walk in, and in the middle of the room, there's a ball pit.
A ball pit?
Like a standing, it's 3 foot tall, and it's full of balls, and everyone is just, like, walking around this thing, and it's like, why did you put this in the middle of, like, a hallway, basically?
I'll have a gross story to end the podcast with that involves ball pits, but
Every story involving ball pits is a gross story.
Not as gross as this one,
Oh my god,
maybe.
Bird's Dream Daddy is Goku.
Oh yeah.
Why are you looking at my Dream Daddy
I hadn't
videos?
seen it yet, and you're playing as Goku.
I am playing as
Goku.
I'm playing as Goku. It's really, really funny.
I mean, he is a dad. He is a dad. It's not accurate.
Guess,
not inaccurate.
I don't know how to do a Goku voice, so I did that entire episode doing Vegeta instead. But I don't really know how to do Vegeta either. So it's really more like
practice
Greg.
doing Rolf from Ed, Edd and Eddy. It's the same voice.
Rolf?
Yeah, same voice
Really?
actor that played Goku in the American translation is the guy that
Hello,
played
Piccolo boy. I will love making many power, yes. Ha!
You dare dishonor the son of a Saiyan? This is a stupid topic.
Now there better be fan art someday of Rolf like fighting Vegeta. I want to see that happening now. Wow.
Just Googling that.
What the? This took a really, really weird
I found
turn.
Rolf doing a Kamehameha made of radishes.
Okay, that's funny as shit. I gotta see that.
That's pretty
Rolf.
close.
I will gladly take Rolf doing a Kamehameha.
Yeah, doing a Kamehameha of radishes.
Yeah.
Answering questions.
Yeah.
Are we talking about offices or what are we doing now?
There's also
We're just bullshitting.
There's an image of the nightmare equivalent exchange white dimension door from Fullmetal Alchemist, and coming through it is Rolf going, "Life has many doors, Ed boy."
Rolf memes are the best.
We should do questions, or this will never go anywhere.
Next voice in Grave of Man should be Rolf.
Oh, whoops, that was my question.
No,
Whoops.
thanks.
I might Rolf you, but
Okay. Yeah, you could,
better
dude.
not
You
Rolf.
should totally sneak in an NPC that's Rolf.
So Grave of Man is many YouTube series are kind of a practice in me testing out new voices.
This is true.
And like practicing it. So
We've gotten a lot better, by the way. Good job.
yeah, I'm improving slowly. But so I will quite possibly debut some kind of Rolf just so we have a I don't know. I just want to practice voices. They're fun and they make the characters stand out. The only
I
problem
have a
is
quest for you, Greg boy.
my main problem is actually thinking, like, I can come up with the voice. It's the voice and what they're going to say at the same time is a nightmare.
Oh, yes.
I can almost never, like, think of... I actually have trouble thinking of, like, what does this NPC even know? Because, like, they're clearly different from, like, me, so they have to know something more than just, like, you know, like,
a lot to
let me
keep track
tell
of.
you the secrets of this entire plot.
Can you promise me you'll never make another Scrappy-Doo character like that damn dwarf guy, that halfling?
He's a halfling.
I don't care. I want him to die. And the point is, you can never kill an annoying character. You can never do it. If you try, they just destroy you because every annoying character in any media has, like, power armor bullshit. Anyway.
Up until they've outlived their usefulness, and then
the
they get
moment
eaten terribly by,
he showed up,
whatever alien.
my entire chat was just replaced with punch him Dimitri, punch him Bert.
The moment he showed up, my entire chat was full of, like, dear lord, can you punch him? Oh, man.
Poor
Yeah, let's
Drez
do some questions now.
Poor Drez doesn't even know what's
some
happening in the
questions.
story right now.
Otherwise, people will stop asking questions, and that'll be.
Oh, they stopped
That'd
a while
be
ago.
Oh,
They
really?
stopped asking questions?
Yeah.
We stopped answering them, so...
Yeah, Dark Reyes asks, out of the 2016 games you experienced, which game did you each play that met your expectations and
We're
went
almost
far
at the end of
beyond it?
2017.
It was asked in May.
Okay, that's fair. Oh my god, we were far behind.
So, what ones met our expectations and what ones did
Can
not?
we just talk about 2017 as well? Because I don't even remember what happened last year. Awesome.
Also, here you go, Bert. I found Rolf Spirit Bomb.
2016 games that were
There you
great. Dark
go.
Souls 3, The Witness.
Doom.
Those are the two that... and Doom. Those are the three that immediately stick out in my mind as like, yep, these were awesome.
Dark Souls is pretty much what I thought it would be. But yeah, Witness and Doom totally blew away my expectations, especially Doom, where I was just like, this will probably be fine. I'm like, this is really good. This is actually a really good game. That pretty much surprised me.
For me, it was Dragon Quest Builders. I thought it was going to be this, like, goofy game, and the moment I loaded up that demo, I was like, holy shit, this is, like, everything I wanted out of Minecraft, and more. The only thing it lacked was, like, technically the long-lasting depth, but I could live with it.
I think
And now they're coming up with a multiplayer sequel. You guys better play it with me.
I
Yay!
think one thing that we
I
played
like forged the total knowledge asynchronicity between us.
No, it's fine. The games are, like, so comically simple. There's nothing I could, like, use that you guys won't immediately pick up on.
In the background, I'm like quietly dreading Dauntless because I'm like, oh fuck, he's gonna know so much more than me already. This could go so badly.
I'm really looking forward to it. I actually have a question in my chat that says, are you looking forward to playing Dauntless? So I might as well answer that. Yes.
So I'm looking forward to playing Dauntless with you guys, but really I'm looking forward to playing Monster Hunter World with you guys. Because, so, one, Dauntless kind of has pissed me off with the, hey, yeah, we'll get you on the press list, no problem. And then months of silence.
Yoink.
And then a machine email a couple days ago being
YouTube
like,
on you, didn't they?
yeah. Oh, yeah. So YouTube had promised me, like, effectively the Twitch partnership a year ago. And then we're like, oh, no, sorry, never mind. We're capped out on people, even though we promised to get it to you months ago. So, apply again later, except for
that's what
no
Microsoft did to me, except with a job.
Yeah.
And what about for Dauntless?
So Dauntless, I talked to the community manager. He was super down. He, like, gave me his business card, his personal email, said, like, yeah, shoot me an email tonight. I'll get back to you immediately. You know, I want to get as many people in on this as possible. And then the game actually comes out, and what they did was they instead just got a bunch of big name Twitch streamers. They didn't even get YouTubers. They got a bunch of big name Twitch streamers, and I think like 2 Monster Hunter channels. And gave them like all sorts of like custom support and stuff. None of them do it anymore. Like they like streamed it for the first week, and then they've moved on already because the game is in alpha.
Mercenaries. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that too. And so I'm like,
maybe they'll come crawling back to you next when they realize that nobody else will actually play their game anymore.
Yeah.
You shouldn't settle for being second.
And so, like,
choice.
I'm not actually that mad about it. It's just that kind of frustration I get when I'm like, really, really into a game, and like I meet a developer, and they're like just about as jazzed about
pretty
like
blasé.
some kind of, yeah. And then after the fact, they're just like, yeah, no, never mind. Like we didn't actually mean to do any of that. So well, see, hope you buy our game. And I'm like, fuck off.
It's like the equivalent of like, oh yeah, we can't wait to work with you. Oh,
yeah.
We really hoped you'd lose our number.
Yeah. So there was a game called Crashlands that came out months ago, and I covered their previous games. And I was like the only YouTuber to ever touch any of their projects up until they came out with Crashlands. And then when they come out with Crashlands, I sent them an email being like, hey, remember me? We've talked before. I see you've got a new game coming out. It looks amazing. Can you send me like a copy so I can cover it? And they're like, yeah, so you're below the cutoff mark of 50,000 subs. I had 33,000 subs. And they're like, so
I wouldn't know what that feels like.
Sorry. But it's this developer that I actually had like a kind of working relationship with, and they're like, yeah, you're not big enough for us. And I'm like, what? You really? And it just, I don't know, it gets frustrating. It's why I kind of don't like going to conventions to talk to developers, because half the time they're just blowing smoke. I like talking to the small ones, but like any big name dev at a convention has no interest in me as a YouTuber. Whereas like the small people, like for Nefarious and whatnot, like they actually care I exist. So I'm like, okay, let's find those people and service those people.
I care you exist, Wander.
Yeah. But
you marry me big time.
Yeah.
I'm just background terrified of the possibility of Dauntless or Monster Hunter turning into Warframe.
Where I'm like sufficiently beyond you. So
because you don't have restraint for just not playing games when other people aren't around. You will play them, and I know you'll play those games like twice as often when you're not around as you will with us.
You are not incorrect.
Play with me, he has to have more characters lined up just to level up with me. I'm like, what character are you going to be playing with me today?
There will be some form of progression or knowledge or something that just develops way too fast.
Because I know I will play without people, so usually I try and have like a separate gear set or a separate something, so I don't end up like outpacing everybody. Because Warframe was kind of a pickle in and of itself. And probably could have maybe figured that out better. But I know with Dauntless, I've already played like a bunch of it, and the problem with Dauntless is it's super like, okay, so beyond my like bitching about them, the game is not done yet. It is very alpha right now, which is not bad, but it does mean
you're
that, like,
literally playing the alpha.
Yeah, so I'm literally playing the alpha, but like, it's so alpha that it actually like. Kind of, it might have been a mistake to release it this early. They have quite a number of performance glitches that are actually problems, and like need to be addressed and haven't been, or they've only been addressed like minorly. So like a lot of crashing, a lot of like hitching and stuff that you really don't want in your like high action game. Effectively, it's like if Dark Souls went through early access, like. You'd probably look at that and be like, ooh, this is probably not the right idea.
I also noticed the iffy thing in that like this whole subgenre is often about like fighting big monsters to farm their parts to make stuff out of their parts. That all looks distinct and everything, and this game doesn't have unique visuals for its models made yet, so a bunch of them just default back to the same armor set.
So a lot of the armor sets aren't even uniquely modeled. The chain whip, a whole weapon class, only has 2 models for it now. 3, I guess they just had a new one, which I mean isn't so bad. The actual problem is, so like Monster Hunter, you have like specific like bits of a monster that you have to break off.
Yeah.
That actually
I saw you doing that in Dauntless though. Is it optional in Dauntless?
No. Well, you have to fight the thing and like hit it in the face a bunch.
But I saw you like cutting off their tails and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but you don't have to do that. You can just wail on it.
No, you do. You do actually have to do that. The problem being the drop rates on some of them are like in the singular percents.
Oh no.
Which is very scary. That's part of the reason why I was leery about
to bring me on
singular percents.
Because I know you specifically don't like grinding, and I was like, so Dauntless could actually end up being a problem here because it might just be too much grind. And the answer is, it's hard to say, because right now it seems like the drop rates are bugged, because I spent a whole mission wailing on this thing's face, this like owlbear's face, to crack its beak, and I don't know if it ever cracked or not, but it never dropped. I'm like, maybe it's a bug, maybe it's just not there.
Mm-hmm.
But like you have to farm even the most basic guy over and over and over again to get dulled scales,
Holy
which you think
God.
like
that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like, yeah. It's one of those games where like the gameplay and the monsters are awesome, but the idea that like you have to rely on pretty low RNG to get the rare thing just to get your armor set. I'm like, I'm afraid that this is going to be one of those like almost Fortnite experiences. They're only doing like cosmetic F2P like free to play stuff, so it's not like impossible unless you throw money at it. But it's one of those where it's like, I hope they fine tune the grind, because I am stuck in the early game, and it's like 2 episodes ago on my series, people were like, stop fighting this creature, we're sick of it. And I'm like, I can't. I need a thing really badly, and until I get said thing, I'm stuck, because the problem is every piece of armor has like a linear
you're not even
upgrade
10 episodes
path.
in yet.
No. And I've been fighting the owlbear because it's fun, and because everything above it kicks my ass.
So like in less than 5 hours, you've already fought something so much that your audience is getting sick of seeing it.
Yes.
Oh boy.
But you have to, because you have to grind one creature.
Keith, are you ready to play this game?
The age-old game dev solution: your game's not long enough, just tell them to do the same thing 100 times.
Yeah. So
that'll
finish
it.
It makes me wonder if, I mean, why are they doing early access? Is it to make people into game testers, or what is it? Because you're going to lose the hype for your game before it even comes out if everyone's accomplished what they can.
Yeah, so early access is kind of a double-edged sword in a lot of these cases, and
I think there's
it
also
sounds like in this one it's definitely like working to its disadvantage.
I think there's also a
that lack of
significant
polish sucks.
I think there's a significant paying audience that is not as discerning as we are on this subject, though. Like, super grindly, infinitely repetitive games are super popular and profitable right now, and early access games that never get finished and are in a horrible state for years also are incredibly popular and profitable right now. So, like, people are eating this shit up.
They never get punished, so there you go.
There's apparently an audience for this stuff.
I think it's going to be one of those games where if you're like really into this kind of game now, it's going to be fun. Like, honestly, I'm actually looking forward to playing with you guys, because it is very much a team game, and if you have 4 people that actually know what they're doing, it's a really fun experience. Like, some of the later fights, even like the earlier fights are fun, but some of the later ones get like really intense, like Dark Eater Meteor levels of like tense difficulty, which I really appreciate.
Really gotta get that edited so people can understand why we constantly talk about it.
I'm just trying to get a cool experience.
I just need 999 to finish so I can stop commuting for one of my series.
So the game is, you're going off to fight these monsters, and you have half an hour to beat them, hard cap. But you also have a danger meter that if you die, the danger meter goes up. And when the danger meter hits 100, you can't revive people anymore. You can't Borderlands style pick them up. And you have like a limited amount of healing and stuff like that. And so people were actually getting kind of mad at me in my series because I was doing that like classic competitive gaming, like, oh, come on, why can't you do blank? because my allies were getting hit by like the most basic attacks, and I guess I would too, but not as much. So like there was one fight where I still had half my healing items and everybody else was like permadead, and I'm still like, I'm just not going to use a healing item. It's not worth it for me because this team can't like, you know, pull through here, and people were mad at me because I was being toxic, and I was just like, look, pugging in this game is kind of rough, and so I'm looking forward to having people that I can rely on, because I was playing with fans later on.
Do you know what this makes me wonder?
What?
Like, okay, so when we're all going around in Guild Wars 2 and we have the whole gang, I mean, people, if they watch the footage later on, they're like, yeah, look, that's me. I'm wondering about people that are playing games, and unbeknownst to them, they're being recorded.
Mhm.
Like, what's the legality of that?
There have been a couple of issues.
That's an interesting
in the past.
point. Yeah.
So the legality is they have no rights. They're in a public place.
Uh huh. Didn't
you
this,
have
didn't there's something that happened in the PUBG community
Yes.
pretty recently,
so
right?
That's a different thing.
Because what if someone gets targeted
Well,
because...
So
yeah.
a couple of guys were playing PUBG, and one of the most popular PUBG streamers was also streaming and got killed by these guys, and the guys that killed the streamer got banned for a week because
enough people could complain.
well,
or
yeah,
something?
because the streamer had reported them directly to the developers because they've got a straight line in, being like, this guy was stream sniping, banned them, and they got banned.
They're still doing that?
Yeah, with
Why? Why does
there
PUBG
was like
care so much about stream sniping?
because it's kind of against the spirit of the game. It's not directly against the rules, but like, you know, it's
Couldn't someone see
it's
where you're
malicious and
situated
bad for the community. But
in the map?
in this case,
Banning people
they
from stream
jumped the
sniping is just
gun.
kind of bullshit because there's like no way to confirm it.
Yeah,
It's
So, like-
totally an honor system.
Like the most generic thing ever is for anyone who loses in any multiplayer game ever to immediately say that guy was cheating. And like the modern equivalent of that is for a popular streamer to be like, that person totally was watching my stream, obviously, and there's no way to confirm that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they can just make accusations and basically cause a witch hunt and then get somebody to lose the game they paid money for because they happen to dare defeat someone who's famous on the internet.
But
And-
like the part of it is, I know that there are laws against people recording someone without their permission via like telephone.
that's
yeah,
not
that's
actually
wiretapping.
true.
That's
Yeah,
completely
so-
different.
It's illegal for me to call Bird and record his call. It's not
Yes.
illegal for, say, if Bird and I go to McDonald's, it's not illegal for me to whip up my phone and record him.
Yeah.
Because there's no expectation of privacy in a public place.
Then why is there like when people have their meetings and people have like their secret cameras and diplomatic like
Yeah, so there are a couple of
exchanges?
different things. Obviously, if we're talking about like spy shit and like
I mean,
Spies technically don't usually follow the laws of
Everyone
the country
knows
that they're
spies don't
spying on. Yeah.
so yeah, there are exceptions. Wiretapping is not necessarily legal, but there are kind of like wiretapping
the other
things
thing
that
too
can
is-
be used, but
Let's say that there's someone at a convention and their costume isn't necessarily the best. Someone takes a photograph of them unbeknownst to them and is like, haha, look at this person trying to look like Sailor Moon. They can't pull
Nope.
it off at all. Then like the person gets
that's
harassed
completely legal unless they were like calling. So if I took a picture of a cosplayer at, you know, MagFest and I'm like, look at how dumb this person looks, and, you know, incite my entire audience to go after them, that would
You
be
would get
illegal
thrown
because-
out.
Yeah, well, I get thrown out of the convention, but also that's illegal because I'm inciting people to harass a person.
But the
Whereas-
thing is, like, what if someone took a photo of someone and then was distributing or selling that photo,
Perfectly legal.
but without the subject matter's permission?
Yep.
Yep.
You're in a public place. You don't have a right to your own image.
What is
So-
stream sniping? That's a really good question.
Okay, so stream
So
sniping.
Yeah,
is
if Wander was playing Hearthstone right now, and you got
Yeah.
matched into a match with Wander in Hearthstone, but you're also watching a stream, then you know his hand, you know his moves, and you can cheat.
Uh-huh.
That's stream
Yeah.
sniping.
Yep, it's super shitty. It
It's
lets you
shitty,
cheat
but
like
also-
crazy.
It's shitty, but there's almost no way to confirm that it's happening in most cases, and
Yeah. It
at
gets
some point
kind
you're
of
invited.
obvious.
You're accepting the risk at some point by streaming in the first place.
Yeah,
and it shouldn't be other people's responsibility at some point, or risk of losing entire products that aren't even related to you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so Bird and I got stream sniped when we were playing Dark Souls a while back because a guy kept invading us specifically, and at first we're like, oh, this is just shitty, but we'll live.
Oh, this was the Dark Souls
but then
one?
the guy had started impersonating as various fans.
That
and
sucked.
That
really sucked.
Because they were actively,
we yelled at Queen of Wolves, and I feel bad about that so much.
I still feel bad about that, but but it was a really shitty thing of them to do, and very clearly was stream sniping. But for the most part, they're usually edge cases that
Queen of Wolves
with,
just said it's K. Well, we know, but also it sucked. I really feel bad about that. But yeah, Starbound was early access for ages. I recently watched a video of it, and it has a storyline, and it's not horrible.
That's still an amazing story to hear.
Starbound got really good as they kept adding more content into it. Looks great now.
I played it with Gull of Doom. It was fun as shit. I was actually, I wasn't that surprised. Everybody was like super mad about Starbound when it first came out, and the only thing I hated about Starbound when it came out was the fact that they kept deleting characters. I was like, come on, like. After the first one, it was like, really? Like, you're still doing this?
That was why I quit Starbound. I played it when it very, very first came out, and they deleted my character. I'm like, I'll just not. I'll just play anything else instead then.
Yeah, and so I played it recently with Gull of Doom, and it was actually like a really fun product. And the story was boring, but the world was fun to run around and explore. The visuals are great, and actually it has some of the best farming in a video game I've ever played. Because I was playing it at the same time as Stardew Valley, or like immediately after, and so I was just like, Starbound Valley, let's farm a bunch of shit. And I was like buying mecha with my crop profits, which made sense, I guess, but it was super fun.
Starbound Valley?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, Starbound Valley. That's definitely a funny.
Starbound Valley.
Dude, like games like Starbound and Terraria could totally like if you put in a little work, you could actually make like more or less Stardew Valley in one of those games, and it would be nearly perfect. It's just the official support is like, well, you made fuck tons of money, but that's about it. And I was like, well, okay, I guess I'll go buy like a death mecha and go kill the last boss with it.
A death mecha?
Yeah, they never really fixed the balance in that game. I still remember one time I just got a... Oh, I see.
So Starbound has really good modding support, and there's like whole rebalances and stuff like that. And so they have vehicle support in the game already. And so somebody made this amazing mech mod. And the mechs are actually fairly reasonable, quite expensive, and they're strong, but they're not like game-breakingly strong. Except for one of them, which has a mining laser, which you're just supposed to point at like the ground, and then you dig it up and you collect all the stuff, and it's super simple. Well, the thing is, it does damage to like a target, and if you're hitting it for a long time, it gets hit a lot, but it doesn't really account for whether or not the boss, say, has multiple hitboxes. So I pointed my mining machine at the thing, clicked, the game froze, and then the boss died.
Yeah, really.
Death. It was amazing. And poor Gull was just like, well, that's new. Totally took it on the chin, no problem. But it was amazing.
Why does he sound like Skitter?
Well, he's Danish.
Oh. Oh, yeah, every Danish person sounds like Skitter. That's true, I forgot that.
He had like a kind of a highish pitch voice.
Oh, was that when you were doing a duo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when I tried branching out a little bit, because it was going to be myself, Gull of Doom, and how have I forgotten his name?
Wait. You branched out a little bit? You were trying to abandon the bird?
This was when you had your internship, like last year, and didn't even have a computer.
You were trying... You were LPing with other people, and you didn't even tell me.
I mean, You were busy. Also, you never really seemed particularly interested in Starbound.
He didn't really
apart
hide
from
it.
Like one time we tried.
I was really aware
I was
of
not
it.
exactly hiding it either. I was just like, yeah, let's give this a go because it was like a good common ground for the three of us.
I also LP'd with Bumpy McSquigums and Colonel RPG.
What do you do?
Who's Bumpy McSquigums? That's an interesting name.
Keith, I bet during your Q&A session you didn't even mention me once.
I don't remember. Did I? Did you
I don't know.
Did you not watch it this time? I don't remember if I did.
I don't think you did.
I was going to actually do it, but then I got distracted.
I
doing
used
other
you
things.
as an example of what a channel can be like. I referenced your channel and Sad Games as what can happen when you don't have enough incentive structures and like specifically like structure to your schedule and everything like that. Like the how it can sort of phase in and out over time. When I was discussing my own schedule and how things of how my job works and how I specifically like require myself to do certain things per day, or else it all falls apart. Just because it's so easy to make up excuses to be like, I'll just not do that today for like 7 days in a row.
I completely eliminated that from
yeah
from my channel.
Limited what?
The prospect of not uploading things.
Yeah, but I was just expressing the difference between my channel and Wander's channel and your guys' channels that were like dead for 6 months and stuff like that, and things like that.
I think I stopped uploading from basically February to May, and then I started uploading. I went from like not uploading to uploading like 6 videos every single day,
like instantly.
And
which is also what Andrew did.
It's so goddamn funny to look at my analytics because you can see the day I turned it on and just like my view count just explodes straight up.
Yeah, Andrew went from being dead to uploading 6 videos a day. Also, it looks like just so. I made people busy. It's like the most impact I've ever had on other people's lives. If for no other reason than
tired of you nagging me and using me as an example
than sheer hours of investment.
You kept, and it came from a place of love, I think. But I just got so goddamn tired of you making like pointing out like this to me that it was fine, I'm gonna do something about it, so I never have to hear this again.
You could have pulled in everybody else and just gotten really, really salty about it and then quit. I mean that historically has worked out.
My new project is trying to get Wander to upload the podcast, but he's never caved to any of these tactics.
No, man, you even were totally honest about it too. You said that you basically were like making it kind of like your side mission. Like, no, you didn't put a lot of effort into it, but you did say that you basically would like keep poking me to try and get me to work on my channel more. And you know what? After like 5 months, no, you've actually been doing this for years, but you have. You have. You can't tell me that you haven't been like basically like pestering me the entire time I've had a YouTube channel to work on it more. And then I do. And now I'm enjoying I'm doing so well. I'm enjoying all the success.
Why would I not take credit for this?
I do have to say it's much easier.
You're acting like I'm gonna hide.
Posting up gaming videos as opposed to like working on and then producing art videos.
Yeah.
I feel bad because now my channel's mostly missed. And I'm like, but what about all the people that subscribe to me for my artwork? I need to finish more art and like squash the hours and hours and hours worth of footage into one video. And
all I'm saying is that like I'm really happy and I want to thank you for like pestering me,
but only in my angry voice.
But I'm not happy.
I was tricked into being happy.
You did the same thing with gnomes, and it didn't work.
You tricked me into being happy.
Well, that's because gnomes never had the gumption to begin with.
He's a funny dude, and he was really, really nice, and I miss him a lot. But he was not. He didn't have his heart in this.
We've had a lot of people that we've met over the course of like our YouTube channels that have been very, very like naturally gifted at being good YouTubers, except for when it comes to the actual YouTube part.
Yes.
Which always like blows my mind because for me, I was very good at the process of being a YouTuber, but it definitely took me a long time to actually be a good commentator. And so like whenever I see somebody that came from the opposite side, I'm just like, and you're not like at 1 million subscribers now. How? Why? Because like
Spider could
there's
say
so many
the funniest shit from the very beginning, but he couldn't.
Spider's
just, like,
comedic timing was amazing.
but he couldn't just make videos.
yeah.
What's the
No.
problem?
I couldn't. And
I still
now,
remember when I got the I won the subreddit's Unsucky Sunday thing by submitting a Gmod video that was largely just dependent on you guys being funny in it, basically.
I won Unsucky Sunday with Fairy Solitaire.
You guys kept
I
talking
earned
about
that win.
you guys kept talking about having sex with inanimate objects, which is weird.
Yeah, that sounds like it was something I would talk about.
Because like Lost Spider was like, "This is a nice box. I'm gonna go fuck it," and he just starts walking around behind a house with it. And then there's some, I don't remember what it was for you, but you're like, "Look at all these somethings, each one more tantalizing than the last. I just want to stick my willy in all of them." I'm like, "What is happening?"
Oh my god,
Guys!
that sounds like exactly what I would say.
I want to say, was that the fridge moment? Because that feels like it was the fridge moment.
I don't know. Wow. Boy, ain't that some shit. Anyway, I mean, like, I was kind of in the same boat. I mean, I still am. I think I'm a pretty decent commentator. I'm not going to really go into that so much, but I will wholly admit, I am awful at the business side of YouTube. Terrible. Uploading videos, tagging, playlisting, thumbnails. Good God, I could not do that.
Social media is hard to
Couldn't
manage.
do it, man.
The secretary.
I just didn't care. It's just like it just sucked so much.
All you have to do is teach Ladybird the basics, or have a kid and teach them the basics of SEO.
Just adopt
And
a
then-
young child.
No,
Ladybird
I
even
already had a
volunteered
dream about it.
multiple
They're gonna
times.
have 3 children, and
But-
they're all going to
But
be
if you
within
let
2 or
Ladybird
3
do it,
years
you'd be
apart.
admitting your failure.
No. Yes.
So you needed a program to do it
Ladybird-
instead.
Bird's also terrified of the prospect that Ladybird is going to learn how to YouTube better than him, make her own channel, and then beat him at it.
So instead of YouTuber, you programmed like a cyber wife to deal with all your problems.
No, Ladybird volunteered multiple times to like manage my channel for me, and I told her, I literally said straight up, like, this is my thing. I don't want it to be a chore for you. Like, I was way not gonna do that. And she was like, it's okay, I don't mind doing it. I was like, I mind if I make you do
Like,
this.
no, these are my problems. I worked for
I
them.
would feel like such a failure if I like passed it off to somebody else. Wanderbutts, you offered to upload my
Yep.
videos for me, and I told you no for the exact same reason. I said this is my thing to do, and then I
Does
just
that work?
like,
Can I be like,
2
Wander,
months-
I'll upload the podcast for you?
No, it won't
You
work.
won't even have to know.
And then
They'll
like
just be
2
there.
months later, I finally just like came out and I said like, hey guys, I have a computer program that uploads and edits all my videos for me, and now it works. And oh my god, it's been awesome. It's been a really good couple of months, we'll say.
Now, question about the podcasts. I know that for D&D, Wander gives you all of his footage and stuff, and you
Yep.
guys like add your own thumbnails, tweak it up, and then like put
I
it
don't have my
online.
thumbnails.
So what happens with the podcast? I know that you guys have to like adjust the screen so that you have all 3 images aligned, and then there's like a little background, and everything has to be rebalanced there. So is Keith just distributing the
Yeah.
final
Yes.
videos? Then you
Yep.
have no excuse not to put them up.
Oh,
I
mean, I have to
He's
pee.
doing like the work.
I'll be right
I
back.
got.
Bird's excusing himself from this scenario under the pretense of
He does
peeing.
not want to be between this one.
Is this our first YouTube drama?
Nah.
Oh, Bird's got a
We've had enough
headphone-shaped
YouTube
imprint.
drama for this year.
I saw Bird walk away, and he had like headphone-shaped imprint on his head. His hair, he's been sweating, and his hair is taking
Oh,
the
yeah.
shape.
Wander has that all the time.
Yeah, I have like I have headbands like divot in my hair all the time.
Sometimes I look at it and I worry that the whole spot's going to go bald or something. Like it just because it pushes the hair up in such a way that you see directly to his scalp, and I go, ah! And then I realize, oh no, it just needs to lie.
I'm always wearing
again.
earbuds like some kind of monster because I don't like wearing stuff over glasses.
Oh, I don't have the problem with glasses. My problem with the earbuds is I notice I like start modulating my voice differently if I have earbuds in, so I generally avoid it if at all possible.
I suppose it's because
it's a lot harder to voice act actually.
With the noise canceling headphones and stuff, you probably are more isolated and you speak louder because of it. I find that we tend to talk loud.
Yeah, well, you're especially bad. Like I can eventually, like when we're not on camera, I can realize like, oh, I've got my headphones on. I should probably like tone down. You're just like, what? What was that? Speak up! I can't hear you. And I'm like, take off your headphones.
Hey everyone, Deafbot here. I can't hear anything. Mop.
Or I'll be like calling to him from the other room. And
well, yeah, every once in a while I hear like maybe a faint noise, and I'm like, was that Shell? And then like I take my headphones off to see what she's saying, and there's just silence, and then Carl, get over here, and I'm like, what? This is new. Not actually a problem, but it is always a bit of a surprise.
All right, what did I miss?
Did
you convince Wander to start uploading podcasts?
No, our entire conversation was about you again.
Yeah.
What? Why?
Because you walked away and I noticed that you had like a headphone-shaped imprint on your hair, which became an entire topic of discussion about Wander and noise-canceling headphones and stuff like that.
That's funny. I use noise-canceling headphones too, and I had to learn how to not yell, because as soon as I put these things on, everything gets so quiet.
Yep.
And like Ladybird, like for the first like month, all my videos are just I'm like dramatically louder than
and that's the discussion you missed.
Insane.
So
yeah, same thing happened to you.
Yep.
So question should we do a couple more questions?
You barely answered one. I don't even know if we did answer one. Immediately, Wander was like, screw that premise.
It was like, what games you like in 2016?
Well, no, I said
Dark
Dragon
Souls.
Quest Builders, and then that turned into...
I thought it was what met your expectations and what didn't.
I answered, do not throw that shit on my lap.
Ew.
Well, I remembered your first response, which was to subvert the premise, but then you went back and answered it for some reason.
I said Dragon Quest Builders, and I wanted to play it with you guys. Don't
anyway,
no,
do you have any more
I was just referring to your first response was screw that. Let's talk about 2017 games instead. But then you went back.
Yeah. I don't remember that's what I was referring to.
For things that didn't live up to expectations, I would say that when we played.
Question for Shell.
Oh, really?
What type and style of art do you like to create? Also, is any of your art for sale, and where can I purchase them?
Yeah. That's a great question.
Well, I tend to draw sci-fi fantasy art. Lately, it's been most of our Dungeons and Dragons characters, but I also draw dragons. And
it looks like
various, sci-fi, like armor suits and sketches of various things.
Consider this a hell of a compliment, but like Shell's work always reminds me of Magic the Gathering stuff.
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
yeah, it looks nice.
I remember graduating from college, and it was funny. We had ordered business cards, and Carl and I didn't get them in time for our big senior show where we have our portfolios out and people from all the other departments come around and take your business cards and stuff. It's like, oh no. So we had to quickly like print off some on the heavy cardstock from our printing place. Our printing place on campus is amazing. I still go there every once in a while when I can, like when I'm back in my hometown, just to print off sheets and sheets of what would be my button designs for conventions, because I need to punch a lot of buttons and it has to be on good paper. Mm-hmm. But in any case, so we made all these cards, and I decided to like add some variety by having 5 different images on my card designs, so people could pick and choose which ones they liked. And one guy came over and he's like, "Wow, can I have all 5 of them?" I'm like, "Oh, sure." And he was saying that they like printed as small as they were on our business cards. He's like, "Wow, I could see this on a Magic the Gathering card." I'm like, "Oh, cool." Magic the Gathering.
It's like the right style. It's like right there.
They've gone a little bit more like, I suppose it's sort of the same with video games, where they've gone a little bit more sort of texture brush, saturated grunge, realistic lately.
Have they?
Yeah, for the most part. I think they've gone back a little bit more colorful. It really depends on the world that they're working with. But when I played Magic the Gathering, it was when their Lorwyn expansion came out, and that was a much more stylized fantasy, like colorful setting. So that's probably a lot like what had inspired like my particular way of coloring things. Because
when I played Magic the Gathering, it kind of looked more like what's his name? The guy that did the Conan the Barbarian paintings, the really famous painter.
Yeah, him.
He's Italian name. I don't really remember. Like, that's kind of what I associate with Magic the Gathering now. And now that I look at it, it's different. I don't know how to describe it. It's got like, you can see there's like a lot of, wow, it's very different. It kind of feels almost a little bit more Dungeons and Dragons-y, almost like a little bit more video gamey or something.
I mean, both of these properties are now so old that they've cycled through generations of artists.
Yeah, so back when Magic the Gathering,
but also there's a lot of map painting involved and stuff too.
What happened in the very beginning for Magic the Gathering is the original artwork that went on them were very traditional fantasy artists.
And oil paintings and acrylic paintings.
So they didn't have digital. In fact, the rules didn't change until about 2006. Until then, pretty much everything was an acrylic or a digital painting. And then it kind of flipped when they realized.
Oil.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, these are all digital paintings.
And so now they made the transition to digital, which comes with two things. You get a lot more younger artists that are doing the digital art. Because
you get a lot of people using texture brushes, which I still dislike.
Texture brushes, matte paintings.
Yeah, people actually will put in foliage from photographs and then like sort of pseudo paint over it kind of stuff.
Oh, they photo bash? They photo bash in Magic the Gathering cards? That's horrible.
It's not
as apparent,
bad.
But I can see it. For some things,
every once in a while, one will show up, and you're like, "Oh, really?" But it's not.
Frank
it's not as
Frazetta.
bad as
That's the guy I was thinking of.
Frazetta, yeah.
Yep. God, he's one of my favorite artists. I love Frank Frazetta's art. I actually remember I talked to somebody very briefly who actually did do commissions for Magic the Gathering, and for most people, like, they are paid by the card, like they're just commissioned to make the painting. It's $300 to $900 generally. It's $500. Yeah. It's $500 to make a Magic the Gathering card.
I actually interviewed with a lot of I interviewed artists that I admired. It was like part of our assignment for the end of college. So I got to talk with Ian McCaig, Matt Gaser, Jonathan Bosch, and Naomi Baker. Naomi was sort of around our age, and she had worked on Guild Wars 2. Jonathan worked on a lot of like matte paintings and background concept art for Star Wars. Ian McCaig is just a legend in the industry and does a lot of yeah. It was really fun speaking with him. And then there was Matt Gaser, who did a lot of cards for specifically, I think, the World of Warcraft trading card game and whatnot. He has a very colorful style, and it's really enjoyable. But he had said that, things in the industry had changed. You used to be able to make a living off of doing cards with, I think it was like $1,000 a card. And if you got a number of them per expansion, it was pretty good. But because they've been like branching out and paying people less, it's difficult for them. So I don't know. Someday it might. Yeah, that too.
Oh wow, Ian McCaig. It's been so long since I've looked at this stuff.
Some of my artwork sort of taken for people to make custom cards in like Korean versions of Hearthstone and stuff.
Oh wow.
And
like
I'm
knockoffs? Really?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if they're actually being implemented into the game or if people are just having fun making their own cards and are like, teehee, I'm going to take this random image off the internet kind of thing. I'm pretty sure a number of people have probably been like, hey, this looks like it could be a good D&D character and just take it for their own stuff.
Like Greg.
Like Greg.
Or claim they made it.
Yeah, terrible.
Experienced that before in chat. Somebody claiming they made a painting of a dragon, and it was just a really old Magic the Gathering card that came out when they were really young.
We're not going to talk about that instance.
But yeah, so I do a lot of sci-fi and fantasy art, and I go by Keeper of Ages on most of my handles. I'm on DeviantArt, and I've just recently been on Twitter and Tumblr and ArtStation and Facebook and who knows what else. I'm tired of all the social media you have to be on. Instagram, that's a new one for me. But I do have an Etsy shop, and I hope to be putting up like more prints and stuff on there. And at this point, I really just have some of my like old bookmarks and buttons from conventions. But I really should get into merchandising. I need to merchandise more.
So, Wander, have you been enjoying the opportunity to stretch your legs more and draw more because of D&D?
Draw more, yes, absolutely.
I think he's probably stretching his legs less than ever. With all this additional work.
I went running yesterday.
Yeah, you went to the gym.
Yeah. But yes, I have been appreciating doing art more often. It's really fun. It's also kind of hard because I'm out of practice on drawing details, so I'm kind of like relying on some like drawings from Shell occasionally. But I'm like, okay, can you draw me some characters? And then she draws me some like quick things. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll vector over them, and the faces don't turn out right because she was. So she did like a really
tiny, okay?
Yeah, she did like these tiny little things, and then I'm like, I have to
gesture drawings.
I have to fit a face on here, and so currently I've got like this weird.
Actually, you were the one that specifically told me not to go into detail. So.
I didn't say full detail, but so like, the eyes are like slightly off kilter, and I'm like, there's got to be some way of like getting better at this, and really I need to sit down and actually, do. Face drawings again because I haven't done.
I need to draw more. I need to draw more very badly.
I'm down for an art stream if you can put on your big boy pants for it.
And then I can do the arts.
No.
I can plug in my
way too scared.
I can plug in my bamboo and we can see if it still works with modern drivers. And I can look for my stylus.
Okay. If Keith does it, then I'll do it because then I have somebody to make myself feel a little bit better then. But I can guarantee you, Wander, if we do an art stream, I'm gonna walk away from that feeling so fucking like
you're gonna pull
depressed.
I know.
Just tell Wander to draw with his teeth.
I'm gonna walk away from that like you think that. Okay, here's a funny anecdote. When Wander and I've already told this anecdote to Keith earlier today, but anyway, so Wander and I, we used to play Gmod all the time together, and I would walk away from every single Gmod session just upset, because in my mind, I was always like, man, that session went really bad. I was like, it wasn't funny, I wasn't good enough, I didn't do the thing that I wanted to do, and just like, everything sucked. And I did this for months. And then Wander said one of the funniest things I've ever heard someone say to me, which is, Bird, some people say they look through the world with rose-tinted glasses. Yours are shit-tinted. And
still true. Still true.
It is still true. It's still super true. I just don't complain about stuff as much anymore. But anyway, if we do an art stream together, I'm going to walk away from it with like, the worst you've ever seen of me with shit-tinted glasses. Oh god, Lady Bird is now staring at me and she said,
full shit goggles.
Have shit-tinted glasses.
I always feel bad when we do art streams because it's always very late at night and I'm in the middle of a massive painting, so I'm just going in and I'm like, I'm going to add another little bit of highlight. Oh, I need to clean this line. Oh, and I'm just like skipping through various parts of a nearly finished piece. And it's like, I almost feel like art streaming would be better if you're just starting something. So just the sketch, just the underpainting, because then it seems like a lot of progress is being made. If you're like doing it at the tail end, it's just like very small, minute things that last for hours.
That's because art is literally just a process of mundanity in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
It's literally just like, oh, detail for hours.
it's very time consuming.
Yep.
Yeah, most of my pieces take anywhere between 10 and 20 if they're fully painted with backgrounds and everything. Portraits for like characters and stuff can run me about 3 if they're fully painted. So that's not bad. And obviously sketches are, can be done anywhere between like a couple minutes to half an hour, but for long big paintings it's like 20.
When I do paint, it's usually like 20 hours. Ridiculous. They don't even look good.
And
That's the worst part. You pour like 20 hours into something, and then you get to the end, and you're like, I'm done. I hate this.
The only reason why I actually know how long it takes now is because I've been recording them.
Yeah,
and
truth.
Beforehand, I never knew how long a painting.
It's a sobering thing to like take in when you look at something. You're like, I spent like a day of my life on this thing.
But I usually spend anywhere between like 5 days to like a couple weeks on a piece, but not working on it constantly because I have other ones to do too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I feel like I've been working on this thing for a month when I've really only been working on it for 20 hours. But that's because everything else is so split up.
Yep. Yeah, I guess we're Keith, are you much of an artist? Oh, I saw your painting of those pants.
The pants.
The pants painting. Okay. But yeah, I guess between the 3 of us, like, we're all like artists to some degree. Like,
I've got a whole
definitely you're like up there,
deviant
shows like the most artist.
I have won an art contest before. It was a stupid contest, and everyone else sucked, and that's why I won. But I won, and I got a painting set as a prize for like winning the county art contest in the digital art category. So if you go to my DeviantArt, there's a whole backlog of like old shitty.
Yes,
like,
it's hilarious.
Yeah, I would look at all these various like stock photo DeviantArt accounts that would like provide stock, where you have to provide a link back to the stock you used, and then I use those in image editing software. Image editing projects, and then I do a bunch of weird little projects, a bunch of just like experimenting with color and shapes and just screwing around and just making things, and then just photographs with lots of filtering. Some of which still look, some of the photographs still look really nice, but they're not very high resolution because the camera wasn't that great. But there's a lot of just random shit in my gallery. One of which is a giant, one of them is a giant red and blue jellyfish picture that's actually hanging on the wall in the house I live in right now. But it's a bunch of dumb stuff, and there's World of Warcraft banner signature images that I made for my old guild forums.
That's actually like a popping business, or popping, whatever the term is for it. But yeah, there are people that even if they aren't, there are badge artists. So when people go to BlizzCon and stuff, they like to have a portrait of their characters, and sometimes they like them for their icons or their own banners. But there's still a lot of work out there for people that just photo edit the like in-game screen of a character with a different background and lettering and effects and stuff, and it's like, woo!
Wow,
and people
you can
do
make
that for
money doing that?
Yep, people do.
Oh,
You can make money from a lot of things.
What's
Step
next?
1.
Talking while playing video games?
Step 1, know how to do something other people can't do.
Yeah.
Step
okay,
2,
fair point.
profit.
Fair point. There's a market for anything, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've seen somebody make money by kicking himself in the head.
I'm at an interesting phase with my art where it's like I know the pathway to improve. I know what I'm good at. I know what I need to work on. I just don't have the time because I'm prioritizing other things right now. And admittedly, it's a super duper low priority for me to get like good at art. If I need art for various projects or whatever in my life, I can always just pay people to do it, which is a lot more time efficient than than me trying to learn how to draw and stuff. But I just feel bad because I have that potential, Oh, well.
Squander
What can you do, man?
Yeah, it's at the same
What can you
time.
do?
I've gone through phases with. I mean, I always been sort of the like drawer illustrator type, but if I see a necklace or a tote bag or something made out of, I mean, I've also always been a costumer, so I have like tons of like armor suits and cosplays and stuff like that. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna learn how to make these things. So I've been making plushies and I've been making clothes and and it's just like, but at what point is it just like and the jewelry that I've made has been nice too and everything. It's just that I realized that, especially when I was like doing my artist alley table and stuff, I was just having, plushies, all of my like digital art in various printed formats, and then like jewelry and stuff. And I've sort of phased out jewelry because I realized that the cost and the time and the effort, it doesn't like factor in quite as well. I find that if I continue pursuing my 2D art, it in the long run will be more beneficial to me, I think, than like, and it's nice to be able to do all of these other crafts, but at some point you have to sort of like realize what you're going to level up, so to speak, like what skills you want to pour yourself into. So
I just realized what my old photo editing projects look like. What they all look like is that specific. It's a very specific aesthetic, which is those books that only exist on Amazon that have covers, but the covers have never had to exist on a printed book before.
Right. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Where they just generate it with a computer and it always looks like fake as hell.
Yeah, like it's not like, I don't mean like a placeholder cover, but like the shitty covers that they only make for those non-print Amazon books that just need an image in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what they all look like.
Something that nobody will ever look closely at.
Exactly.
So we got time for maybe one more question, I guess. But yeah, so Keeper of Ages, Spy Shells things. I'm planning on buying one of her plushies at some point. I haven't taken the time to look into it too much.
I just think the one that I think most reinforces what I just said.
Yeah.
A guy falling towards a clock with speed lines. It's like that's the cover.
Oh god, that's unreadable.
That's exactly what that aesthetic is. It's just that vague idea of a person falling. Like that would be some sort of like shitty thriller.
Oh, but yeah, those are in books all the time now. You know what? Going into the sci-fi fantasy section, you don't see the beautiful paintings anymore for the covers. You see photo bashes of sort of black and white muscled woman with tattoos.
Oh, people are asking what a photo bash is.
Oh, a photo bash. It's where you take photographs, but you digitally edit them so that they look seamlessly. Well, except it's really apparent in most cases.
You start with a painting, and then you take a photograph, and you crop out the parts you don't need, and then you paste it over your digital painting, and then you paint over the part you pasted in to make it look like you painted whatever it is that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just painting over things.
Not great.
It looks horrid.
It's tracing.
It looks so bad unless very, very, very talented photo bashers can do it. And to that, I don't really care. I can commend people for making their art however ways they want to do it. If that helps you make really good looking stuff, then go for it. Very, very, very few people can make photo bashing look good.
I think it's understandable for really quick environmental concept art because if they want to be able to create a semi-realistic environment just to show what potential designs are going to be for their, and it's not going to be official art that's going to be published anywhere. It's just, this is the concept art. Then they take real environments and figure out how they can work with them in their world. But I don't like it really for character design unless it's, I know that someone that I knew, she was working for a studio and it was like a Call of Duty thing. She was tasked with finding actual gear and photo bashing them, and she's like, but I'm a concept artist. Why am I doing this? But it's what the company wanted, so that's why people do those in those instances. But I would say for finished paintings, I don't know. It depends on a person's aesthetic and stuff, but I'm obviously not a fond of like tracers and things like that.
All right.
One more question. We ended up talking straight over the question potential.
Nakota Fleming asks, "What's the cheesiest thing you've done in a game?"
Cheesy as in
Cheesy?
cheating?
Played with bird.
I think they mean like gameplay cheesy, as in like cheesing
cheese
something.
the game.
I mean, I found out in No Man's Sky that if you bought like an item from a trader 10 feet away from the Galactic Trade Terminal and sold it for twice the price, you can make millions of gold. Really?
How long
fast.
could you do that?
I think
That
a
was
significant.
insanity.
I think a significant portion of the audience of No Man's Sky did the port trading trick, where you just walk inside the port and buy, and you buy things from anyone that's selling it low, and you sell them to back in the store or to anyone that will buy it for higher.
It was like the only way to make money originally in the game.
Yeah.
There's something recently that I
did they ever fix
cheated
that?
really
Because
hard.
at launch you could just stand in a port and generate infinite money.
They have fixed it to some degree. So what it is now is there's no longer things that sell for like double price. There's only like minor differences, but you can buy larger quantities of them. So what you do is you find like places that have like a need. You know, it's much more supply and demandy. So it's still the same thing. There's just a travel time, and you have to carry more of them. But there's cargo slots, so it's not so bad.
So I remember there was multiple No Man's Sky streams where I would finish the stream, and then afterwards I would stop at a port and I would just enter that loop for like hours while listening to a podcast. And before long, I was like, "Why am I playing this game? Like, why am I even bothering with this?" It's like, this is the most effective strategy, but it's unwatchable and not fun. I'm just listening to a podcast.
We should have ended the podcast already. Oh, my bad. On my end, because I had to restart the recording, it looks like we weren't done yet. But then I looked up and realized we're actually like 15 minutes over.
That's fine. We're only 5 minutes over.
The most cheesing I've ever done in a game involved bosses. I think specifically in Knights of the Old Republic 2, I was fighting Darth Sion. And I was having a hard time in that boss fight. And I trapped him behind a pillar and could still attack him through it and everything. And
maybe more cheesy would be Looter Kings.
Oh, you destroyed that game.
You mean the only way to play the game without dying?
Yeah.
The game was unplayable at launch. You had to basically cheat to do it.
I told you people are still like super...
Yeah, people are still getting mad at you for bothering to question the quality of a game. That was terrible. And that was the audience of that was everyone's opinion. We were playing with a full group and no one enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And we beat it. We beat all the content that was there at the time, and it was awful for everyone. Not only was it awful, but everyone was laughing at how bad the game was because we were appalled by its very existence. So those people have problems that are arguing against that.
I don't know if, what the cheesiest thing for me is, but one thing that pisses me off, actually, is the ending to Hotline Miami 1, where to beat it, there's this one character who basically... I remember now. So the ending to Hotline Miami 1... you have to kill a mob boss who has like double Uzis, like a ninja girl, like a katana, the trope, and also 2 attack panthers or dogs or something, and you're by a fountain, and all of these guys, they know you're there, but they still only attack you if they get line of sight on you. Like, it's a stealth thing, except for the fact that there's a dialogue that you have with them. So they know you're behind this fountain, and they literally, like, to beat this boss, you have to edge out very, very slowly from the corner of the fountain until something comes running up to you, whatever it is. It could be the dogs, it could be the mafia boss, or it could be the ninja girl. Whatever, it's just whatever it has to be, it has to be one of them. And then you take a swipe at it and you try to kill it. And you do this, it takes like 20 minutes, and you're just literally, it's designed in the game. The way you do it is you just cheese out the AI. They designed a boss fight where you have to exploit the weaknesses of the AI that they programmed into the game. It's stupid. It made me feel dumb. And I don't like when video games make me feel stupid. And it still makes me mad because it made me feel like such an idiot. So there you go. That's my cheesing
For
story.
me, the main one that comes to mind is in Demon's Souls, there's a boss called Flame Lurker that deals tons of damage, is on fire. When he punches stuff, his hands explode, and he's huge, and he's fast, and he jumps around. But, and I was fighting him when I was really inept at the games. I'd only ever beaten Dark Souls once, and that was my experience with the franchise so far. So, like, I was still in my first few playthroughs of Souls games in general. And I was not prepared, and I was garbage at the games. And I found that there was one pillar in the room and over near the corner. And so what you could do is you could hide behind the pillar, and you could just constantly strafe around the pillar so that every time he attacked you, he'd try to be attacking you straight through the pillar so he couldn't get to you. And I just kept poking with my spear from behind the pillar while constantly rotating around the pillar to keep him behind it. The video, I believe, because I was recording, is like 20 minutes of boss fight. That's like a 20-minute long Dark Souls boss fight of me slowly poking this guy to death. It's pretty unusual. It's pretty unusual for one attempt at a Dark Souls boss.
Yes, that's true.
This is Dark Souls or Demon Souls?
Demon Souls.
Oh, okay. That's actually more common.
I don't even remember fighting this guy with you.
You won't remember anyone because in our playthrough we like one-shot everybody with magic.
Yeah, that's true.
That really takes care of that, honestly.
Yeah. The only boss fight I really remember is the initial boss that I refused to fight normally and punched to death like a jack-off, and then the last boss because, oh damn. Yeah, I actually don't remember any of the in-between boss fights except for that like weird pot guy that you couldn't hit unless you were like above him, because I remember not ever seeing the boss. Guy. Well, he was like fat, but he was like... there was something like porcelain or like clay about him. I was confused.
Oh.
The weird pod guy.
Alrighty. Do we want to hear Shell's gross ball pit story real quick and then call it?
Oh, you actually remembered.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. Now, this is sort of like a third-hand story from my mother. But apparently she had gone to a ball pit with my little brother, and he was probably, 3 or 4 or something, and with another mother and her child. And there were other children in the ball pit too. So the kids were playing, and suddenly a diaper floats to the surface of the ball pit.
Yep.
And so everyone's like looking at their children being like, okay, who lost their diaper? And then there was this child that came out, and he was just like smothered in fecal matter and stuff. And so suddenly like all the mothers were rushing to pull their children out of the ball pit.
So
yeah, that was
it. Similar story. I never trusted the ball
more.
pit.
Oh god.
I went to McDonald's for a birthday party. And so it was, it's McDonald's. And it had a ball pit. And I think there were 12 of us. And one of the kids was like, hey, you want to see something cool? And he starts pissing into the ball pit, just standing off the side. Birthday boy pops up underneath the stream.
Children have the shittiest definitions of what's cool.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Look what I can do.
I remember watching the news, and there was something about people finding like syringes or terrible things in the bottom of ball pits, like,
or just
you
decomposing
don't know what's
children.
under them.
Oh my god, that's hilarious and awful.
Yeah, don't touch
Alrighty,
ball pits.
So
Don't touch
as
ball
always, I don't know how this became our thing, but it's probably my fault.
It is your fault.
Always,
it's 100% your fault. You made it up.
We probably all deserve the blame.
No. No.
No, I'm saying there's 2 sides to every story.
No.
And in this case, there's 4 sides.
You can be both sides of the story. It's possible.
Bird, you get to be the time cube today.
Send your questions to FourNerdsQuestions@gmail.com, and we'll get to them sometime 6 months later, apparently.
We're the worst.
We're only like 2 months behind now. And to be fair, we basically didn't ask questions. We didn't do questions for like half that duration.
That's true.
For half that time, we couldn't even get the whole crew together. We only had 12 to go.
Alright. 3, 2, 1.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.